Hey runners, so in this week's blog article I talk about how to set up your Garmin effectively so that you can get the most out of your running sessions, which is something that I see a lot of runners not using effectively. Typically people leave the Garmin on the default screens, or they may tweak something but not really thinking about the sort of the end goal of what they're changing it to. And it's important to understand that what gets measured gets attention. So if you're focusing on cadence, for example, having your cadence on the screen is a really good idea because it will keep your attention on maintaining that cadence. So have a look at this week's blog article for more details, but what I want to try and demonstrate on this video is I'm going to go out and do a short run now and just basically talk you through the screen setup I have and how I use that as part of the training sessions. So here we go. Let's get started. I'll be back in a bit. I'm just going to go do the warm-up and then I'll come back and carry on with the recording. Bye for now. So hey, welcome back. So here we are. I've just completed only a half-mile warm-up, just the demonstration today. So what I'm going to do is hit my lap button at that point just to mark the end of my warm-up, and I'll just have a quick chat with you guys before I start the session. So just to demonstrate today, all I'm going to do is a short number of 200 meter intervals, aiming for a particular pace, and 200 meter jog recoveries in between, and then I'll do a half-mile jog just to close off the session, and at the end a nice little cool down before I head back and do my stretches, etc. So yes, the point of the blog article this week is about using your Garmin effectively. Sorry about the sun behind me, guys. It's a very bright one today for a change. There you go. And as you see from my screen, I typically have it set up so I have the distance on top, the time on the left, pace on the right, and then my current cadence on the bottom. And I replicate that same screen across or layout across the different screens that I use. So this is my overall screen, and then I'll have the next screen is my lap specific screen. So that will show me my lap time, my lap distance, my lap average pace, and my lap average cadence. And that's a really good way for me to focus when I'm actually doing that interval there. I'm hitting the target that I'm aiming for in terms of pace, that I can clearly see what the distance is, that I know how far I've got left, etc. And it just works really well to keep the focus on the important parts of that session, rather than trying to work out in your head, well, I got to do a quarter mile lap, for example. I'm on 3 point something miles now, so add a quarter mile to that, so I'll stop when I get to so and so. So save yourself the hassle of doing that mental arithmetic while you're out on the run, and just use the lap facility that's already built into your Garmin. So I'm just coming up to the start of my 200 now. Excuse me. So I'll try and leave the camera running while I'm doing the run, and I'll show you what happens in terms of that position, or that lap stats at the end of each lap. Okay, so as you can see, let me just try and flip the camera. Okay, let me see. So as you can see, we've got my distance and time, etc. there. So the pace is not showing because I've stopped and there's no cadence. So I'm going to put it onto my second screen now, so you'll see the lap I've just done while I've been walking and talking to you guys. So that was 2.5 minutes, about 200 meters, 0.12 of a mile. And obviously my pace average now is slowing down because I've stopped, so it's dragging the average down. So what I'm going to do is hit the bottom right hand button there, the lap button, when I start, and I'll stop it then at the end of the 200. So here we go. Okay, so I'm starting the lap now. So I can see clearly on my screen that I've got my lap time, my lap pace, my lap distance, and my lap cadence. So I can really focus on what I need to see and make sure that I'm achieving the right goal. So here we go. Beautiful day for it. So coming up to the end of the 200, so I'm just going to hit the lap button there. So as you see, you get a brief summary showing the lap time, and then it goes back to the normal screen. So I'll start my recovery now as well. So looking at that, I don't know the details of how I did on that lap, which is where my third screen comes in, which shows me the last lap statistics. If I switch to that now, Just show you guys really quickly. So hopefully you can see that. So it's showing my lap distance is 0.12 of a mile, which is the 200 meters. My lap time was 47 seconds. My lap pace 6 minutes 43, and my average lap cadence 190. So pretty much spot on for what I was looking for today. But I don't have to wait till I get home to see exactly how I did. I've got it there right in front of me, so I know if, for example, my pace was slightly off or my cadence was off, I now can adjust that and work on that through the remaining parts of the session. If I wasn't checking that until I got back at the end of the run, then obviously I wouldn't know until the next time I go out of, oh, okay, I got to think about my cadence, or think about my pace more. Excuse me. It's very warm today. So, that's why I have the watch set up in that way, and keeping consistency between the data screens. So always having the time, the distance, the pace and the cadence ensures that by flipping between screens I'm not then looking for, oh, where's this one, where's this one? It's always in the same place, so it's easy to follow, easy to manage, easy to track. And in the long run, that makes my running much more focused on achieving the goal of the session and more consistent. So every time I go out, I'm getting the most off that session. So I'm just going to finish the 200 meters recovery now, turn around, hit another interval, and stop the lap button again there. So just so you know, when you hit the lap button at the start of the interval, you're making a mark in that track, if you like, that GPS track, to say there's a key point here, so mark that. And then when I reach the end of that 200 meters, I hit the button again. That will mark the end of that 200 meter interval for me, or mile, or whatever you're doing. But it also marks the start of the rest period that comes after it. So I don't need to think about, oh, I've got to mark a lap to start that now, because obviously the end of the interval, the fast interval, becomes the start of the recovery interval. So here we are. So I'm back to my start line. I'm going to hit the lap button again now, go off and do another lap, and see how we go. So I'm just going to turn the watch screen back to show my lap time. So I can see on that lap, the walking lap, I took 2 minutes 49, same distance pretty much. Much slower pace obviously, and a much lower cadence because it's only the walk, but I don't care about that because I'm not looking at that for walking point of view. So here we go again, just got to hit the lap button and off we go again. So again, because I have my lap screen up, I can see exactly where I am on that lap. So I know if I'm on target for pace and distance and time, how my cadence is looking, and I can make tweaks as well through this lap because I've got the details for exactly what's going on at this time. So there we go, hit the lap button. I get the summary again, 48 seconds this time. But if I want to see exactly what happened, I just switch the data screen, and now I get my last lap distance. So 200 meters again, last lap time 48 seconds, 6 minutes 52 average pace, and 193 average cadence. So everything is there in the moment at my fingertips as I need it on the run. So if anything needs to be adjusted, I can clearly do that after. So what I'll show you when I get back now from my run is how this looks on Garmin Connect or on Strava, so that you can look at how you can really accurately compare what you were trying to achieve in the session, so what the plan for the session was, against what you actually did. So rather than trying to guess it from the totals, you can actually see it broken down piece by piece exactly as you need it. Okay, so I'll come back and join you later. Bye for now. So earlier today, I went out and did a short run just to demonstrate the use of your Garmin tech to more accurately track your running sessions. So this was following the blog post I put out this week, which you can see on the screen here. So go take a look at that if you want to. Just head over to be-fit-coach.co.uk, hit the button at the top for blog, and you'll see it listed in there for September the 14th. It was actually released earlier today. So this video is basically a follow-up to this blog post about how to use your Garmin more effectively. So what I did earlier was, as you've just seen in the video, went out and ran a brief warm-up followed by 2 lots of 200 meters and 200-meter recoveries in between, and then a half-mile cool down just to finish off. So what I want to show you in this part of the video is how to use that data then when you come to review your run on Garmin or Strava after you've finished. So if I look at the example here on my my Garmin account, so normally what you get at the end of the run, you look at your total mileage, your total running time, your average pace, etc. You see a map. You might be able to now go in and look at your charts, etc. And try to work out clearly from here. You know, there's the warm up. There was probably the bit where I was talking, and then we've got what looks like a faster pace section here, a bit of a recovery, a fast pace section here, bit of recovery. So chances are that was my first interval, that was my second interval, and I can look at these and try to understand, okay, so what's my average pace looking like across there? What's my average pace looking like across there? And I can sort of get a feel for how things went once I finished the run. And equally, if I was interested in my cadence, you know, I could see for those two, well, what was my cadence looking like during those periods? So you get the idea. You can have a bit of analysis going on and have a little bit of a closer look to see what happened. But if you've used the lap button in the way that I've just been showing you, what you can then do is go down to this section here next to stats, you've got laps. And when you go into laps, now every time you hit that lap button, you created a new lap event in your Garmin report. So for example, lap 1, took just under 5 minutes. I covered just over half a mile, average 9:21 pace. That was the warm-up section. Then we had this part here. So I go to the first one, which took 2 minutes 46 and was about 0.12 miles, about 200 meters. So that was the section where I was talking to you about what I was going to be doing, getting ready to start the interval. And then we have on here, lap 3 is actually the first proper interval lap. So this is where it took 47.7 seconds. We know I did the 200 meters, that's 0.12 a mile. My average pace was 6:40, etc., etc. And if we scroll across even further, now we've got other metrics here like stride length, cadence, excuse me, moving time, average time, best pace, etc. So I can look here and say, okay, yeah, my average run cadence for that 200 meters was 190 steps per minute. Great, okay, that was my target. I was absolutely fine with that. Then the next section was my recovery. That was part of the video where I was talking to you again about what was happening. And it took 3 minutes and 4 seconds for that to cover the 200 meters while I walked back, or a little bit further because I turned around to start again. And then we go into the second of those intervals, this time taking 48.1 seconds, 200 meters, 6:53 average pace, cadence on that one, 193 average. So great, I was trying to keep it above 185. Then we've got that 2 minutes where I was basically doing the recovery from that second interval. And then finally, we've got the half mile on my cool down run back at the end of it. And then as you know, as these things happen, hit the wrong button at the end, so I ended up with an extra very short 1 second lap being recorded. But there you can see on Garmin how that looks in terms of the breakdown of the actual session. And if you're obviously working to a running plan, you will have exactly what you need to be doing. And then afterwards, you'll have this summary where you can see stage by stage exactly how you did on each of those. So it gives you a really accurate way to confirm your details. And as I said in the actual video before this, it allows you during the run to make modifications to your run as well. So on that first interval, I could see my average pace. That was great. I was happy with that. I could see my average cadence. Yep, that was above the 185 I was looking for. If, however, one of those had been out, then I would have known immediately before I even started the second interval that, okay, I've got to change my pace on this one, or I've got to change my cadence, and I could have done something to correct that during the session. And that way, the session would have been even more effective, and I would have got more out of the time I was spending. And that's what it's about. It's about getting the maximum benefit for the time you spend doing the trainings in the time that you're doing it. So rather than coming back and having a look at, okay, so what was the summary look like? You know, oh, yeah, that one looked okay. Oh, that was a bit slower. It's feedback during the session that really helps you. And the same thing with your Strava account. So here's the same data on Strava. So again, I've got my summaries up the top here. I can look at my maps, etc. and I can look at the splits that Strava do for me. They automatically split it by miles. But if I go over here on the left-hand side menu, we've got laps. And if I hit that, now I have the information I just showed you on Garmin. I have that same information listed again here. So I know, okay, that was my getting ready to start, 47 seconds. That was my first actual running lap. Again, we've got the pace, etc. Then my recovery, then 48 seconds on my second one, and then recovery, and then the half-mile finish at the end. So same information, depending on how you want to look at that, whether it's Strava or Garmin. Typically, I tend to use my Garmin account for looking at the specifics, because you do get a bit more detail in terms of extra decimal places, etc. So a bit more precise in the results there compared to Strava, which are rounded up or down. But again, you're talking very small amounts, so either of them would do a really good job for you in terms of understanding how you performed on that run. So hopefully this was useful and beneficial, and I'd be interested to know if, based off the back of this, are you going to change anything about how your watch is set up, or how you measure and compare your actual runs to the plans that you had going out to start with. And as said in the blog post, all of our running plans include this sort of level of detail of exactly how the session needs to go, and the typical sort of target pace times you're looking at each part of the session as well. So you know exactly what you're expecting to hit, and using this approach, you can check on every single interval, are you hitting that, or do you need to adapt and adjust through the session? So love to hear from you. Please drop a message down in the comments somewhere, and otherwise I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye for now.